We've sailed 1,000 miles from the Gambier, and we still have 200 miles to go to reach the most unique island in French Polynesia. We've tried to reach it twice already, but both times our efforts have been thwarted by bad weather and difficult conditions. It's not an easy place to visit by sailboat, but that's part of the attraction for us. So with time running out, we're setting off on one last try to reach Makatea, a lost world in the Tuamotus.
It is 9 p.m, if you can't tell by how dark it is all around us, and the pass time is roughly 30 minutes from now. I'm not entirely sure from your description what the story is of the anchor. Are we going to be okay?
Yeah, I think we'll be fine. It was fairly straightforward, it's...
Famous last words. Very straightforward means we're going to be stuck here for 3 days.
Yeah, pretty much. No, we are caught on one bombing. It definitely goes down and then turns a very definite right angle at the end, but we dropped the anchor pretty much exactly where we were aiming for in sand. So we just need to stay to the port side as we pick up the chain, and hopefully it'll untangle itself. We've only been here a couple of hours and we've not spun around, so we can't have got caught on anything else.
And for record, when we say bombing, what we actually mean is rock. It's actually dead coral for the most part in this kind of area, so we shouldn't be too concerned at this point. Yeah. Basically, we're helping the parrotfish with their gum disease because they don't have to chew so much. So yeah, we need to lift the anchor, we need to navigate in the dark to the pass, and then we need to somehow tell in the dark if it's okay. I haven't actually checked, but I don't even think the moon is up yet. So yeah, doing this one blind. But thankfully we do have Zora, and Zora has satellite imagery and dimming and all sorts. So we should be absolutely fine to follow that and just believe in the satellite images.
So I think we've timed it quite right. We've got hardly any current as we're going through the pass. It is quite alarming. There's no moon right now. I can just about make out the land at the side if I don't look at any instruments and I let my night vision take over. So that means that Ian has no idea. So together we can sort of see where we're going. But I think we're far enough away and there's not too much swell or waves kicking up. So it should be quite straightforward, and then we'll get the sails up and moving.
Spinnaker is up, we are flying along, but we realize we haven't actually told you where we're going. I guess we do know where we're going. At least we hope we know where we're going. So, those of you who've been paying attention will remember we have tried to go to a tiny, tiny little island called Makatea twice. And both times we've gone right past the front door, so to speak, and not been able to stop, because it's a pretty rare place that people can actually stop at because of the way that the weather works. When swell is coming in from the wrong direction, you can't stop there. So we are going to try, I want to say one last time. We're giving it third time's lucky, right? This time we're going to make it. We're going to get there. We're going to be safe. The weather's going to work in our favor, although the forecast maybe doesn't agree with us, but it is. It's going to work. That is the big plan. We're going to sail overnight, all of tomorrow, and depending how fast we keep going, we'll maybe get there tomorrow night. It's all open water. We're kind of leaving the Tuamotus arc of islands to get out to this place. It's kind of on its own between Tahiti and the Tuamotu string of islands. So that's the plan. We get there and all will be wonderful, and then we can finally show you around this jewel of the Tuamotus. It is a really special place. And you're looking forward to it, right?
I feel like our expectations are so high now because we've been trying to go to Makatea for so long, but I'm not doing anything to shift them. I'm just keeping them up there because I think it's going to be awesome. It's going to be so different from anything we've seen. We're so used to these atolls and little flat palm tree islands, and then there's going to be a cliff. We haven't seen a cliff in ages.
Too right. I think we can climb the cliffs too.
Yeah, it should be really cool. So yeah, we thought we were going to get there at sunrise, and now we're going a bit too fast. So it's going to be midnight or 10 p.m. that we arrive. Well, the conditions have settled a little bit. The waves have definitely calmed down and the wind is sitting pretty consistent at about 11 knots. It's not a difficult passage at all. We're only going to be sailing for 24, 36 hours, but definitely setting off at night, having to go through a pass, no moon, and fairly big swell, or at least more than we were expecting. It just adds that layer of complication and of challenge that we have to get through. So it's taken us a little bit longer to settle into the routine of things. But now that the waves are way smaller, the moon has come up so we can see where we're going a little bit, and we're not anywhere near land because we're just in the middle of nowhere. So other than watching for the wind to drop and the Spinnaker to do that, where it just collapsed slightly, everything is pretty smooth, and fingers crossed it'll just be like this for the rest of the day.
Well, good morning. Yeah, we actually had a fairly uneventful night. Unfortunately, neither of us were ready for our watch pattern. So whilst we set off at like 9:30 through the pass and we got the sails up and so on, we basically did 2-hour watches. So yeah, feeling pretty groggy. It's just turning up to 7 a.m. now, and if I can make another hour, then I'll give Brownie 3 hours of sleep rather than 2, which I think would be nice. Our autopilot is definitely not happy. It continues to misbehave, and so that's been about the most tiresome part so far. It's just we can't leave the helm, which we don't often leave the helm if we're near any land, but we're in the open ocean. There's no one around, we can see for a long way. And usually you can just kind of take your eyes off the instruments and rest a little bit, and then you can check in. Whereas without any notification, the autopilot just decides to drift up or downwind, and that could be quite dangerous, particularly when we've got such a large sail area up. So yeah, we're having to pretty much stay on station, constantly monitoring, checking our eyes and checking our heading, and we can't even trust our compass because it just turns on its own as well. So not the perfect passage, but not that eventful. Nothing is broken yet, nothing's gone wrong. The fishing lines are in this morning, and I'm very hopeful we'll pick up 1 or 2 non-radioactive fish before we arrive. I've probably jinxed it now that I said that though.
Well, we're pretty windy this morning. I felt really bad because Ian had just fallen asleep after our changeover, and then I went and woke him up because we had a squall coming in from behind us. So normally what we would do is just sock the Spinnaker, wait for it to pass overhead, just run one engine to keep us moving forward, and then just unfurl the Spinnaker again as soon as it had gone past. So we dropped the sock, and while we were waiting for it to pass over, we were like, actually, this is not going anywhere. So instead we dropped the whole thing, put it away, and we've got just a Genoa out now. Ian is back to sleep, and I am really glad that we made that decision because the clouds aren't going anywhere. The waves have definitely picked up, and we just clocked 28 knots of true. So we only saw like 25 of that on the boat, and I've got 1 reef in on the Genoa. So thankfully I was over reefed and therefore didn't have to do anything. But yeah, this is not the weather we were expecting, but I'll take it. We're going at 7.5 knots. The good news about flying the Genoa only right now is that if we need to take a reef, or like now, the wind has dropped off and we need to let one out, we can do that with one person from the safety of the cockpit without having to interrupt the other person while they're sleeping. So if we had the main up, our lines for the main don't come back to here. Our halyards and our reefing lines all stop at the mast. So we would need one person out on deck, and then we like to keep the other person here at the helm so that they can see what's going on. And the Spinnaker, well, that just takes 2 people to wrestle. So when we're on such a short passage like this one and we don't have really time to get into our sleep shift, our main priority is just trying to get as much sleep as possible and protect that for the other person when they're not on watch. So the wind has dropped off now to about 15 knots, down from our kind of 25 consistent that we were seeing. So this would be the sort of weather that we would put the Spinnaker back up in. But because Ian's only been asleep for about an hour, we're just going to go a little bit slower. We're in no rush. We are still going to get there at 4 a.m, so still before sunrise. We don't need to get there at any particular time. So yeah, we'll just go a little bit slower for a couple of hours, and then when we swap over later in the morning, if the conditions have stayed the same, then we'll just swap the sails back at that point. So it's the difference between sailing and cruising is you just take the easy life, and yeah, we're playing the long game. We're not racing.
What have you done?
Well, I've somehow lost my other pair of sunglasses, which I've been wearing all morning. Oh, I've just worked out where they are.
Where are they? There you go. You've been looking all over the boat.
I have been looking everywhere. And then Ian was just like, hey, have you lost a pair of sunglasses? So I thought you could see them. So I was like walking up and down the deck being I must have put them down and then they've slid off somewhere. So these ones are good because they actually stay on my face, and these ones are slightly too big, and if I look down, they fall off. But because these ones are smaller, they give me like a permanent frown. So if I start wearing them, if I start wearing them, I just can't take them off. And I thought, oh, we're not filming for a while. I'll take them off while I was reading or something. And then I was like, where have I put them?
Overboard.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been surprised.
You're just going for super sun protection.
Yeah, that's it. Really don't want my forehead to burn.
How's the watch gone?
Yeah, it's been fine. It was super boring. I got excited at one point because we went through a little bait ball with loads of birds flying around, and then our fishing line went off, and I was like, at first it was good, and then I felt, oh, that's bad because I'm going to have to wake you up, and I'm trying so hard not to interrupt your sleep. But like, it bit the line and then straight away let go. So even by the time I turned and looked, the fish had already gone. So I've left the lines out, and I just figured you would have to put up with a lack of sleep if we caught a fish.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
That would be worth it.
So we are truly now in the open water zone because we have left behind the string of the main Tuamotus. The last one is probably somewhere off our aft quarter here on the starboard side. And now we are just open water all the way to this tiny, tiny, tiny speck of land in the middle of the sea.
It's been a really nice afternoon. The clouds have now cleared, the wind is pretty consistent, and we only have about 50 miles left to go. So I think we're going to get there probably just before sunrise tomorrow. So it is really not too far away at all. The only thing that is not playing in our favor on our arrival is it's quite hard to see. I know we try and show you the waves and the swell, and it never comes out on camera. Now, the waves are not big today at all. We've got these like small, maybe 1.4 meter waves running with us, pushing us along gently with the wind. However, there is also like a counter current, a counter ocean swell of about 1.8 meters, which is going in completely the opposite direction. Now, that is a leftover from the storm that we had to sit out the other day when the winds were coming out of the north, and this swell just hasn't died down yet. The only reason that that's a problem is that the anchorage where we're going to on Makatea is open to the northwest. So although we're going to be sheltered from the wind and from the little waves this side, there is nothing to protect us from that swell coming in, and we just don't know what kind of effect it is going to have on the anchorage. I know that it is quite touch and go in there. We are going to be quite close to the reef, and generally people say only go there in settled weather. I mean, we've tried to stop there before and found that we couldn't because the weather wasn't perfect. And we thought we'd done so well this week with the light winds and with the swell coming from the right direction, and then this storm has just changed everything around. So we're just going to keep going. We've got one more night, and we will find out in the morning if it's actually going to be safe to stop our boat there. If we can't stay and we have to just sail on, oh, it's going to be heartbreaking. Good morning, the sun is coming up and we have land ho! We are here, we have been here before. This is Makatea. The cliffs look just as awesome as they did before, and now comes the moment of truth. We're gonna see if we can actually stop. The rolling ocean swell that is coming in this way is quite sizable, and we have also had a video from someone who lives here who sent us a video yesterday of what it looks like at the dinghy dock, and it is treacherous. We won't be able to get to shore today, even if we can stop the boat, but we're gonna go right in and see if we can grab a mooring ball without ending up on the reef. What do you think our chances are?
I'm apprehensive. We've tried this, twice before?
Yep.
And we had to pretty much go right past the front door, and we are desperate to visit this place because it sounds really, really cool. But the swell is...
It's quite sizable.
It's reasonably high and reasonably close together. So essentially what you've got is you have the island, and the wind is actually coming from the other side of the island, so we are protected from the wind, but the swell is essentially coming from the opposite direction. So the swell is rolling right into the bay, which means that our boat would end up with our stern facing the land. which normally isn't a big deal, but here the edges of the cliffs, if you like, they go straight down. There is no shelf really. And so if we end up on a mooring ball and we face the land, we probably don't have enough space. And essentially our bum ends up on the beach. Well, on the rocks. On the cliffs is insanity.
I know you can't see much of the cliffs until we get a little bit closer, but it certainly looks dramatic with like the sunrise coming up behind and the towering cliffs and then the storm cloud raging over at one side. So we may be about to get soaked, but oh my goodness, I'm so excited to be here. This is like so different from everywhere else we've been in the Tuamotus with the atolls and the coral fringed reefs and everything is inside a lagoon. This will be the first time we have anchored not inside a coral reef for like a year and a half since we were in the Marquesas. So we're just out in the open ocean here, which is, yeah, maybe this is why we didn't plan it so well because we're not used to it. So you can see the rolling swell now as it is pushing into shore, and all of those waves are just crashing on the reef behind. So I think there are 4 mooring balls here and one is slightly stepped back from the reef. We're not sure if this guy has just taken that ball or not, but that is the only one that we think would be safe enough in swell like this. So we're gonna have a little scout around and look for it, but it is fast becoming less hopeful.
I mean, if that is the harbor, that's supposed to be the safe water. Past the breakwater, and at the moment the sea is so high, it's just gone over the top of that wall and it's just whitewater foam inside the harbour.
Yeah, I don't think we would be dinghying into that.
I don't think we'd be staying here very safely for very long. So, as you said before, the problem is we're still in like 4,000 meters of water right now, and we're only 25, 30 meters from shore.
It's wild.
Meters. And so, yeah, these mooring balls, they're so deep that they have to move around a lot. So if we tied on, we would probably end up on the ground in that white water, like sitting in breaking waves.
Yeah.
And they're proper like surfing waves. They're big.
They are huge.
Curling over riptide style nastiness. I don't like it.
Yes, as excited as we are to have come here and really, really wanted to stop and see this place, for once we're being sensible and we are recognizing that is an absolutely stupid place to try and take a mooring. I got the lines ready, but we didn't even try and hook a ball because we just can't get that close to rocks and reef and waves that are that huge. So third time was not lucky, and this is as close as we are getting to Makatea for now. We are determined we will get here somehow, sometime, but unfortunately it's not today, and I'm so bummed about that.
I was going to try and slip in a Princess Bride quote of the Cliffs of Insanity, but
I'm going to bed if you're going to start doing that.
I wonder if you're using the same wind I'm using. Hey Bryony, are there rocks ahead?
If there are, they'll soon be dead, except there actually are because there's an atoll that we have to miss.
Slight problem.
And it's dark, so we definitely can't see it.
Slight navigational issues, but we'll be fine. We'll be fine.
We'll be fine.